I received this message from one of my followers the other day. He admitted that he doesn't know how to start a conversation in English. Do you feel the same way? Do you ever struggle to start a conversation? Do you just freeze and choose to stay silent? If the answer is yes, then this video is for you, because today I'm going to teach you 50 different ways to start a conversation and also different ways to respond when someone starts a conversation with you. We are going to have a look at two most common scenarios: starting a conversation with a stranger at a party and starting a conversation with a colleague at work. So let's dive into it. Starting a conversation with a stranger at a party can be a little tricky because you don't know anything about them. However, there are usually three things that you have in common. You both know the host, the person who is throwing the party. You are at the same place right now, be that a house party or maybe you are in a restaurant or in a cafe. And you probably live in the same city. So your conversation will naturally be built around these three things. When I'm at a party, I usually need some kind of an excuse to start a conversation with a stranger. And this next phrase gives you this excuse. I usually come up to a person and I say, "Hey, I don't believe we've been introduced. I'm Veronica."
I don't believe we've been introduced.
I don't believe we've been introduced.
Another way to ask this question is to say, "I don't think we've met. I'm Veronica."
I don't think we've met.
I don't think we've met.
And people usually respond by saying, "I don't think we have. I'm John." Or you might hear something like, "I don't believe we have. Nice to meet you. I'm Bob." Now, if you want to be a little more relaxed, if you want to sound a little more informal, you can also just say, "Hey, do you mind if I join you?"
Hey, mind if I join you guys?
Mind if I join you?
People usually respond with, "Not at all," or "Of course not. Take a seat." Now, there is another way to start a conversation, and it's my second personal favorite. You can say, "Hey, how do you know the host?" Let's say his name is John. So you would say, "Hey, how do you know John?"
So how do you know Peter Gregory?
Or you might ask, "How long have you known John?" This is a great question because it invites follow-up questions. For example, the person says, "We work together," and then you can ask them about their job. Or they might say, "Oh, we are friends from college," and you can ask them about what they studied at college. They might also say, "We met through mutual friends." Pay attention to the preposition "through mutual friends." Or they can say, "We met through a work project." I also hear this response very often. "We go way back." Now, this phrase might be a little tricky, so let me explain. We go way back means that we've known each other for a long time. Maybe they are childhood friends. And the final expression that you might hear is, "We've known each other for a while." Either way, this is a great question because it opens the door to more conversation. Another way to start a conversation is to say, "How's your night going?"
How's your night going?
How's your night going?
Or you might ask, "How do you like the party so far?"
How do you like the party?
So how do you like the party?
And people are going to tell you what they like about the party, what they don't like. They can say, "Oh, it's been fun," or "I'm having a good time." This is a pretty neutral way to start a conversation. It's very common, so remember it. And we are moving on to the next one. You can also say, "This place is great. Have you been here before?" Now, I love this question because it also gives another person an easy story. And they can say, "Yeah, a couple of times actually." And they can tell you about the previous time they came to this restaurant, let's say. You might also hear, "Yeah, I come here every now and then," or "No, this is my first time." Now, I would like to share with you one little tip that will help you not only to start the conversation, but also to keep the conversation going. Guys, when someone asks you a question, always return that question. So you can say, "What about you?" I feel like language learners very often forget to ask that question because they're too overwhelmed or stressed out. But please remember, it's really easy to just say, "Hey, what about you?" Let's move on. Any party has at least some kind of food. So you can start a conversation by saying, "Have you tried the food yet?"
Have you tried the food?
Have you tried the food?
If someone asked you this question, you can say, "Yes, I have. It's really good." Or, "No, not yet. It smells amazing though." But my favorite response is this one, "Not yet. what do you recommend? Because this is a question, you return the question, and now you can build some kind of a conversation about food and your preferences and some of your previous experiences. So it's a great way to start a conversation in a neutral way. So these are the questions that are really good to start a conversation with, to build some kind of connection. And once you have that, you can move on to slightly more personal questions. For example, you can ask, are you from around here?
Are you from around here?
Are you from around here?
People might say, not originally. I moved here a few years ago. And then you have the conversation about their life, which is amazing. Or you might also hear, I'm not from here, but I live here now. And they can tell you about their immigration experience. So it's a great question. Another way to keep the conversation going is to ask, do you live in the neighborhood? They might say, yeah, I live nearby. Or they might say, no, I don't. I come from across town, for example. So these are the expressions to start a conversation naturally and effortlessly. However, starting a conversation is not always enough. You also want to make sure that you keep a conversation going. And for that, I have something special for you. As a thank you for being on this channel and watching my videos, I'd like to gift you a free access to an entire unit about small talk, because small talk is what you make when you meet someone new. So in this unit, you are going to learn how to make small talk about the weather, the hot, the rainy, snowy, cold weather. You are going to learn 50 expressions that native speakers actually use. And those are the expressions that you have not studied at school. Those are advanced, natural expressions that you absolutely must know if you want to feel confident when you are making small talk and starting a conversation with someone. There will also be fun games and interactive activities for you to practice those expressions, and there will be a downloadable PDF with all the key phrases from the unit. Hundreds of students have already studied the art of small talk with this first unit, and you can do that as well. Happy learning. All you need to do, you need to click the link down here below, open an account on my website, and enjoy this free unit. And we're moving on to the second part of this video. Starting a conversation with a colleague can also get a little tough at times, because on the one hand, you don't know a lot about your colleagues, so you're not exactly friends. On the other hand, you are not strangers, so you want to stay professional, but also slightly informal. And there is an amazing phrase that you can use to start a conversation with a colleague. You can ask, what have you been up to?
I mean, what have you been up to?
What have you been up to?
Another common question is, what have you been up to lately?
What have you been up to lately?
So, what have you been up to lately?
This expression means, what have you been doing lately? Do you have anything going on in your life? Maybe you're planning a vacation. Maybe you're working on a project, and people can say, same old, meetings, deadlines, projects, and then they can tell you about those things. Or you might hear, nothing much, nothing's going on. This is a very common question, and if you have noticed, I used present perfect to build this question. And here is a tip, guys. When you start a conversation with a colleague, you most likely will have to use either present simple or present perfect. And in the following questions, you will see that as well. For example, you can ask, how's your week been?
Hey Bruce, how's your week been?
Paris. How's your week been?
Or, how's your day been so far?
So, how's your day been so far?
How's your day been so far?
So this expression so far means until now. And when people respond to this question, they usually use present perfect as well. For example, they say, it's been good so far, thanks. Or so far so good. This is another common expression that means, everything's fine, so far so good. Or they might say, pretty busy, but productive. Another way to use present perfect when you start a conversation with a colleague is to ask, has it been a busy day, week, or maybe month? And then people usually say, yeah, I have a lot on my plate. You absolutely must know this expression. I have a lot on my plate means I have a lot of things to do. They might also say, I'm swamped, or I'm drowning in work. Both of these expressions mean I'm really busy. Now, if you want to keep it simple, if you don't want to worry about verb tenses, you can just ask, busy day today. Huh?
I bet you'll have a busy day today, huh?
Now, Americans love using this tiny word, huh, as a way to confirm with the other person. Busy day today, isn't it? So instead of saying, isn't it, they say, huh? If you live in the US, let me know in the comment section if you've ever heard of this word, huh? And if you are in Canada, you probably know that Canadians don't use huh, they say a. For example, you might hear, busy day today, eh? So if you live in Canada, let me know if you've heard of this expression, this word before. Maybe you are using it yourself too. And if someone asked you this question, you would say, yeah, it's been a bit hectic. Hectic means crazy busy. Or you might say, oh, it's one of those days. It's one of those days means, it's a very busy day. Everybody has one of those days, right? When you're really busy, nothing seems to work. It's one of those days. And we're going to finish off this lesson with a little more advanced expression. You can ask your colleague, how is the project coming along?
Hey, hon, how's the project coming along?
So how's the project coming along?
How's your book coming along?
This phrasal verb come along means to progress. In other ways, you're asking, how's the project progressing? And your colleague might say, it's coming along well, thanks. Or it's shaping up nicely. Shaping up means, coming together nicely. Remember this phrasal verb and you're going to sound very professional. Now, I know that you want to remember all of the expressions that we have discussed today and you want to start using them in speaking. That's why my team and I have prepared this beautiful PDF file with all the expressions that we discussed today and with some extra practice tasks so that you can really memorize them. All you need to do is click the link down here below and download the PDF. So that's it for today. Don't forget to get access to the free unit on Smalltalk and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you never miss any of our videos and our freebies. See you in our next video.